Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host, Neil.
I'm Neil. And who got pulled out at the last frickin' minute because the fire season is going crazy already.
Yes, David had to pull out at the last second.
Thank you for not letting that go. That was great.
Yeah, it was like an hour ago. David's like, "Oh shit, there's a big fire. I gotta run. And I gotta leave." So, yeah, he could be touch and go for the next 4 or 5 months.
I think pretty soon it's going to be touch and go for like 11 months out of the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane.
By that time, we'll all be in the Democrat camps.
Yeah, they'll have rounded us up. So,
oh no, we're getting political. We're not going to put it in.
Oh my god! Oh shit! Well, you know what? All I got to tell those guys, anybody that says that, I got to tell you is, fuck you. I live in California, and it's happening to the south of me. It's happening to the north of me, and it was happening downtown today. So everyone can just pucker up and kiss my ass right in the middle.
So, yeah. Anyway,
what are you referring to? The riots.
So yes, this week, talking about political turmoil, we're talking about The Serpent and the Rainbow from 1988. I remembered this movie fondly, but then watching it again, it was not so fondly.
I remembered this movie thinking, oh wow, that's cool. This is great. That's cool. And then wondered what kind of a fucking moron was I in 1988.
Yeah.
A pretty big one, actually.
So, kind of
have you ever
now, but
have you ever watched a movie and had, for maybe the first 45 minutes, zero thoughts or feelings about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that was this movie for me. I was just sitting there, and it was like taking a quiz that I had studied for, and I knew all the answers, and I'm just like, here, I'm done. I'm over it. Like,
well, let's wait a minute before we dive into the meat of this podcast and do what we always do. Neil, what did you watch this week?
Okay, I watched a lot of stuff, but there was something I didn't tell you about my weekend, what I went to go watch.
What did you go see?
I was saving it for the podcast.
Uh-huh.
You probably know what got re-released in theaters for a limited time this weekend.
Was it Spinal Tap?
Mm-mm. Dogma.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How was that? I hadn't seen that forever.
Fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Weinstein, suck it in jail, dude. That movie needs to be out. It was absolutely fantastic.
That's good. It has been kind of a movie for like 15 years that has not really been widely available. And Kevin Smith had the rights tied up, and he finally was able to get it back. So it's cool that he's able to get that out there again. I'm super like up and down on Kevin Smith. I think he's a really good podcaster, and he's a funny guy and things like that. But as a filmmaker, I'm a little meh. But Clerks,
he's hit and miss.
Yeah, Clerks was obviously iconic. Mallrats was really, really good. Chasing Amy was good. So he's got some good movies out there, in Dogma. But I will say
the other Clerks, the sequel,
Clerks 2 was good.
It was good as well.
I've not seen Clerks 3, so
I have. That was still pretty damn good. It's a formula, and it works.
Yeah. But I must say that his podcast was super, super influential on me wanting to start a podcast. So Kevin Smith, big ups to you, because the Smodcast podcast and Hollywood Babylon, those are really, like, hey, this, podcast, what is this? And maybe someday I could do that. And as the technology became more readily available and stuff like that, his podcast was a huge influence on me wanting to do a podcast.
So basically, there are a lot of people out there cursing his name right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
four people who listen to
4 of them at least. So
right, what else?
No, really the only thing of note. I mean, I watched a few movies, but the only thing that got me excited was going to that. I was super giddy because I loved that movie. It was really good. And then going to watch it. And the great thing about this was there were teenagers there who obviously had never seen it, and their parents were taking them, and there were older people there. And forgetting that some of them probably don't know who Alanis Morissette was. So when God shows up and starts doing cartwheels and we're all laughing and enjoying ourselves, you could hear kids like, "Who's that? Who is that lady?" That's God, kids. You need to calm yourself down. So anyway, I watched all kinds of like dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time on Tubi. There is one that I started that I wish the name would come to me right off the top of my head.
It wasn't Return to Blood Fart Lake, was it?
Return to Blood Fart Lake. No, this was, although that does sound pretty good. This was like, it was like a, God, why can't I think of it? I don't have Tubi on my phone right now. It was like a ripoff of Star Wars, and it had David Hasselhoff in it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's not Battle Beyond the Stars. It was Star Crash.
Star Crash.
Yeah, Star Crash. That was a Roger Corman movie, and it had the Hammer horror lady, the brunette, who's basically in the bikini the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got maybe 15 minutes into that, and then I had to stop. So
it is so funny. You got to watch it to the end, especially, Sid Haig plays the bad guy.
Oh, sweet.
And he's like, it's David Hasselhoff is Prince Simon. And the Caroline Munro is our female heroine. She's basically wearing a bikini the entire time. And the hero has like almost total ripoff lightsaber. Joe Spinell is Count Zarth-Arn. So I think Sid Haig is in this one. Maybe I'm confusing it with another. Oh, Sid Haig was in the movie where Galaxy of Terror, where the lady gets sexually assaulted by a giant maggot.
Well, that's not bringing anything to mind, but I just got a few minutes into this. I found some like random kung fu movies, and because I had last week completely off. That was wonderful. Did nothing, and it was down in Pismo Beach, and I was sending you pictures of that.
Yeah, that was really nice.
It was fun. I should have sent you pictures of some of the food. We found a place that specialized in biscuits.
That sounds good.
Giant.
I think Sandy posted some biscuit place that you guys were eating outside.
She only posted hers. She didn't post mine because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, been really hitting the workouts, been trying to take care of the weight, and I got down there and I'm like, fuck that. And I think I ate the largest plate of biscuits and sausage gravy I've ever seen, and powered through 2 of them. I felt really proud of myself that I managed to do that. Good for me. So I really wish Dave was here because I love the awkward silence, but I'm just going to go straight for it. Like, what'd you watch?
Well, I watched a lot of stuff this week because I got my second shingles vaccine.
Good for you.
On Friday, and it knocked me on my ass. So only thing I had the ability to do was watch movies. So I watched all of The Godfather Part 2, all 3 hours and 14 minutes of it. And it's fucking amazing. I love that movie. So good. I mean, and Al Pacino is known for being like a very showy actor, but in the Godfather movies, he's so fucking restrained. Everything is his eyes and his just everything's boiling under until, when Kay, Diane Keaton's character, tells him that she aborted their kid and that she wanted to leave him and all this kind of stuff. Just the rage that comes out there. And there's this one part, and it's a really subtle part, where Michael Corleone goes back to the house, and Connie, his sister, is trying to tell Kay to leave because she's there with the kids. And Michael comes through the kitchen, and you see Kay. She's standing outside the door. And you can see, this is fucking amazing eye acting. He looks at her, she looks at him. She has hope in her eyes, like maybe he's going to say, "Come in, Kay." And then for a second, a flash in his eyes, he's like, "I want her to come in." But then he hardens, like his stare gets icy. Then he just shuts the door on her, and right as he's shutting the door, you see her start to break, like cry, but you don't see it fully. You just see it just like a little hint. And I'm like, God damn, that is good acting and good directing. That's just one of those moments that really sticks out. And also, I mean, the movie itself is all great. And when Tom Hagen tells Pentangeles about the Roman soldiers who slit their wrists and and they were honored and stuff like that. Just so many fucking good moments in that movie. We have to do it someday. We have to do the Godfather Part 2.
They take that bath.
Yeah, they take that bath. Pentangeles. It's such a good movie. Then after that, I watched the Raiders of the Lost Ark on Showtime. So I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Godfather.
So you decided to go for really shitty films.
Yeah, then I watched The Goonies. The Goonies was on for, I guess it's the 40th anniversary of The Goonies this week.
Say what you want. The Goonies is great.
Yeah, I still love that movie, but those kids fucking scream through that movie, all through the movie. I think in our episode on The Goonies, we talk about that. Just, sloth, poor sloth. You couldn't do that today. We're gonna keep our gigantic child that we dropped on his head, and you're gonna live with me now.
Well, but you see his mom, and you're not surprised about how he looks. Honestly,
yeah. I just always think that part is so funny. Yeah, so I watched a lot of like real, like legit movies. Then I watched a lot of old concerts on YouTube. The next day, it was Old Concert Day. I watched an entire 1978 Kiss concert on YouTube.
Why do that to yourself?
That was when Kiss was Kiss. It was fucking perfect. Kiss Dynasty had just come out, so I Was Made for Loving You and Sure No Something was on there, and that was some really good songs. And then they played all their hits, and that's when Gene Simmons still looked good, when they didn't have to use extra like fishing wire to get him up on the up on the top of the thing so he could sing what's the song he sang, God of Thunder, and he could still spit flame and the blood came out of it, spit blood and all kind of stuff like that. That was when Kiss was Kiss to me. I thought they were fucking superheroes.
So it's funny because that song came on. My wife and I were at the gym, and I Was Made for Loving You, but unfortunately, because we've seen Why Him with Bryan Cranston, when it comes on, you start hearing it. You start, oh, okay, oh yeah, it's like this is actually a decent Kiss song. And then my wife is coming down as I'm, we're looking on the machine. She's like, Barb was made for loving you, baby. Barb was like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's kind of ruined the song.
Mm-hmm. Then I watched Exit Stage Left with Rush, their concert live, and that was peak Rush. Like Geddy Lee's voice was still super strong. Alex Lifeson, was just playing. Of course, Neil Peart was amazing, but that was like peak Rush before they got too synthy.
They had that weird bit where they did all the synth, and then they kind of quit, and they went back to just being a really amazing trio.
Like, this is Dad Rock Corner, everybody. New segment, Dad Rock Corner. Yeah. And
well, I mean, if we start talking about the music I listen to, we're going to lose people.
Then I watched an Iron Maiden concert in it was in England, and it was the first tour with Bruce Dickinson. So it was just like when Number of the Beast came out, and their intro is so fucking cool. They have some little bit of intro music. The lights turn black. They turn on, the lights just come on, the house lights on, stage lights, and they just fucking run out and start playing. There's no hey, everybody's just run out really slow and stuff like that. They immediately go into the Murders in the Rue Morgue song. And it was just like, we're going to fucking just knock your dick off with some dual guitars and screaming. It was just like, that was a fucking badass intro. They just there was no pretense. It's just like, here we are. We're going to fucking play.
I've seen them twice in concert. They do really good shows.
Yeah. But that was basically what I did when I was convalescing over my shingles vaccine. Get your shingles vaccine, everybody.
As someone who's had shingles and now has permanent nerve damage because of it, I would encourage everybody to go get it because the nerve stuff sucks.
So when they say hot shingles in your area, don't follow up on that.
I don't have the button.
Hold on, here we go.
You got the button.
All right, there.
Yeah. I told you what my doctor did when I went to get my second one. He's like, you need your flu shot. I'm like, can I get these both at the same time? He's like, oh, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
That probably jacked you up.
Oh, God, I was messed up for days.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, we're almost 15 minutes into this podcast. We haven't talked about the movie yet. So,
you know what, though? Is anybody missing anything really by us not talking about the movie?
If you are a fan of this podcast, you know, if the movie wasn't that great, we'd talk about everything else about the movie. But since that's why we're here, we'll talk a little bit and then we'll interject other things going on, you know, in that. So, The Serpent and the Rainbow from 1988. Do you want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline?
An anthropologist goes to Haiti to research a drug that makes someone appear dead by suspending all vital signs.
All right. Very simplistic summary there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. An anthropologist is a moron and stays in Haiti after taking a 10-penny nail through his ball sack.
So, Bill Pullman is good in certain movies. He is not a leading man. He's kind of such a blank space. You know what I mean? I think what was his name in Spaceballs? God damn it!
All I can think of is Bartholomew. That's all I got.
Your Schwartz is as big as mine. But he in Spaceballs, that is exactly Bill Pullman's acting range. Just kind of a spacey, dorky kind of guy.
Did you? I got strong Jim Carrey vibes, and I realized this was maybe a little bit before Jim Carrey was doing movies. I don't know exactly when he started, but didn't you? I got Jim Carrey vibes from his acting. Yeah.
The first movie I remember Jim Carrey in was in that movie where he played a person who thought it was a vampire.
Once Bitten.
Yes. Yeah. That was the first real Jim Carrey movie. But then he played if you watch the movie The Deadpool with it was a Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
He plays like the coked out rocker in it, and he's miming to Welcome to the Jungle in his trailer, you know, and then he dies of an overdose. Super funny because he wasn't Jim Carrey when he filmed that, so he's supposed to be like a kind of a serious role. But now, if you see it, all you think about is Jim Carrey pretending to be Axl Rose, and you know, it's more unintentionally funny as hell if you watch it now. So look up Jim Carrey, The Deadpool on YouTube, and you'll laugh your ass off.
I feel really bad because I just opened up YouTube and the first thing that popped on was Carrot Top. Gross.
Yeah, he's looking a little not good, corpse-like, almost like he could be a zombie in The Serpent and the Rainbow. So, Serpent and the Rainbow came out in 1988, released February 5th of 1988. Director Wes Craven. I will say there are some good things about the movie. The setting in Haiti is realistic and adds a lot to the production value. Those people who are extras were real people from Haiti who were a little bit problematic because they wanted some more money near the end of the movie and they almost rioted, causing some issues. So they wound up paying them more. I think the special effects are pretty cool. And there's some really good dreamlike sequences. But for a 98-minute movie, it felt fucking long. I was like, oh my God, when is this movie going to be over? It really did drag for me.
You sound like somebody writing a letter of reference for someone that they just want to leave their company and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, really, really provides a lot to the team, a lot of valuable feedback, such a hard worker.
There was some good things about it, but like the part where they're in the back in the jail, whatever, and those hands are reaching out through the.
I was thinking how much I hated that part. As you were saying, there were some great parts. It's literally some dude like 12 feet back. He's got a giant rubber arm. Okay, ready? Okay, and everybody starts shoving your arms out, and the cut. He's got to figure out like, how am I going to act with this? And he's basically rolling along the wall. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's that. The Bill Pullman is the biggest liability in this movie. He really is, and I didn't realize that. I still love this movie as when I was young. This came out in '88, so I was 14, 15, and I remember seeing the trailer when he's like, "Don't bury me, I'm not dead." I'm like, "Holy shit, I got to see this movie!" And even before the movie came out, I remember going to the library, Farmington Public Library, which we referenced last episode, and reading The Serpent and the Rainbow, while I was there, just kind of like thumbing through it and stuff like that. And I wanted to buy it, but this is before I knew that you could like ask a bookstore to order a book for you. I just like hopefully thought that maybe someday they'll get it at Walden Books and I can read it. But it did not occur to me that you could actually say, "Hey, can you order this book for me?" Did not know you could do that. Because I was dumb. I was 15 and I lived in Farmington where we didn't have much many bookstores.
But this is one of these things, like at 15, you're like, "Oh no, this is real. This is totally real." They're working on that zombie thing, man.
Totally.
For a fact, because there's all this stuff the government doesn't want you to know about, man. We were so QAnon before QAnon was a thing.
Well, just like when we were kids, we're like, "Did you know that Farmington is the Satanism capital of the United States, bro?
That there's a pentagram that they built with telephone poles out in the desert. You got to go find it." Oh, I remember that
Jamie
one.
About that. She's like, "Oh, there's human cages where they hold humans in cages and these Satanists." And like, really, there is. So even we went to Kirtland High School. We were we didn't have the same local legends as the kids from Farmington High School, so they had more elaborate legends,
and we missed that. But I will say that we probably had a whole lot more alcoholism.
Well, I will say that we did not want to drive alone on County Road 6480 at night going home. That was the spookiest shit ever.
I used to love turning off the headlights.
I remember you did that.
We'd fuck with you guys and turn off the headlights.
Yeah, but I was, scared of certain local legends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, Mm-hmm. Scary
Good
shit.
Times.
Yeah,
Good
scary
times.
stuff. Mm-hmm. So this movie had a budget of $10 million, made $19.5 million at the box office. So it kind of broke even, when you think about, advertising and stuff. But this was a stalwart in the video store. This made a lot of money on video and, of course, pay cable. It was very, very popular. I remember recording this off of HBO and watching it all the time. I really liked this movie when I was younger, but man, it is kind of a sad thing when you think of a movie fondly, then you watch it again and it's not what you remembered it to be.
But I mean, at this point, should we be surprised? This happens so often. I was so goddamn apathetic when I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, my cable has been out. Well, not my cable. My internet's been out for a while. It really just came back on a few minutes right before we started recording. I was texting you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me was thinking, it's like, well, is it that big of a loss? Because I'd probably just be rewatching and fast forwarding through Serpent and the Rainbow again, just to refresh my memory. At least now I get a chance to have a conversation with my wife and my kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
dude, there was just nothing going on.
And I'll be honest with you, I watch the movie once, and then I'll watch it again and make notes. I only watched it once this time, and I didn't even take notes. And I had ChatGPT go, "Hey, please give me a summary of the Rainbow plotline."
No, I'm looking at the notes here. I can tell. Yeah, it's very. Eric, there was just. It was like eating it was like eating white people food. There was no seasoning.
And for a movie about Jamaica, there was a movie about Haiti, there was no seasoning in that food.
Yeah, you'd think they could have gone so many cool directions with it. I never read the book. Was this at least close to the flavor of the book? Was it interesting at all?
No, the book itself was very dry. Because it was
it's on paper. It tends to be.
It's on paper. It's dry. Yeah. it was more of a, him going out and trying to find it, and there was a little bit of danger and stuff like that, but there was nothing like it was in the movie. And I watched a couple of making of things about the movie, and they had another director lined up who was a serious director, and they wanted Mel Gibson to be the protagonist, to play Dr. Dennis Allen, but they couldn't get it. So they're like, who are we going to figure out? Oh, Wes Craven. He just had a flop with Deadly Friend, so maybe we can get him to make this movie. And they hired him, and they did a bunch of rewrites, and with every rewrite, it got less and less like the book, and the author of the original book was just like, God, they're ruining my book. And they had test screenings where it wasn't scary enough. So people are like, is Wes Craven? And it's supposed to be about voodoo, and where's the scariness? So they had to do a bunch of reshoots and add a bunch of the dream sequences and a lot of the gore and other things like that. So one of the writers of the movie decided to use a pseudonym because he didn't want to take credit for for the movie. So it had a very kind of a rough production schedule, and everything. What it was intended to be did not happen, and people weren't ready just to see, hey, this guy, he found this medicine and everything like that, but he wasn't held hostage. He wasn't he didn't have these trippy dreams, or he didn't do any of that stuff, and it was just too dry for the palates of people.
So I imagine that you've listened to a lot of Mitch Hedberg too.
Yeah.
So it's the Mitch Hedberg joke. I like when they say a movie is inspired by a true story. It means the movie is not a true story. Like,
yes, exactly.
Like, hey, Mitch, did you hear the story about the lady who drove her children into the river and they all drowned? Yes, I did. And it inspired me to write a movie about a gorilla. That's what this movie was for me. As soon as it said inspired by a true story, I got my phone out. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's fucking Mitch Hedberg. I got to find this for the podcast later.
Yeah, so it was nothing like really what happened. And Wes Craven had a lot of political. He liked to add political stuff into his movies, and had commentary. So he added the kind of the Baby Doc and Papa Doc Duvalier subtext or subplots and things like that. So, which was kind of interesting, but it was so dry. You want to hit us with the critical consensus?
I was just thinking how much I was pulled in to know that this was happening during actual events that I could relate to, that I had seen on the news.
It was drier than a Popeye's biscuit with no butter or a drink.
There's some mom and grandma jokes in there. That I'm not going to say because I never met your grandma, and I do like Frances, so we're not going to go there.
All right.
But if I was to have told that joke, it would sound a lot like this. No, I'm not going to do that. All right. So let us talk about the critical consensus. Rotten Tomatoes, and we all know what that is. It's a review aggregator website. It's got an approval rating of 62%, and it's based on 37 reviews. That gives an average of 5 of 7 out of 10. The consensus reads, although it's occasionally overwhelmed by excessive special effects, which is the only thing that saves the goddamn film, by the way, The Serpent and the Rainbow draws a chilling atmosphere to deliver intelligent, really? Politically informed? Story. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 64 out of 100 based on 13 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Okay, but if you took a test and you scored 64 out of 100, you'd be sad. So I think
that's not really average.
Yeah, I was saying this is generally favorable. You got 64 out of 100. You should have studied harder. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times, no shocker here, gives it a 3 out of possible 4, praising Pullman's performance because he'd, at that point, only seen 2 or 3 performances, so he had nothing to compare it with. And the stunning visuals, while also noting The Serpent and the Rainbow seem to take Haitian voodoo more seriously as a religion and cultural force than most horror movies with similar themes, which merely use voodoo as a gimmick.
I added a few more Roger Ebert quotes because that's kind of a fun thing to do. I go back and find the original review and kind of.
I personally think that they used voodoo as a gimmick in this, but hey, that's just me. In most voodoo movies, and this is from Roger Ebert, voodoo itself is taken only as a backdrop, a gimmick. This movie seems to know something about voodoo. It knows more than I do anyway, because movies are all about fucking fact. And treats it seriously as a religion, a way of life, and an occult circle that does possess secrets unexplored by modern medicine. I didn't have a ton of respect for Roger, but I'm losing more and more as I read this. One of the most convincing elements of the movie is the way the more modern Haitians nevertheless regard voodoo as something not to be taken lightly.
It's not to be taken lightly. What is your quote that you always say? This movie is not to be taken lightly.
It might not be taken lightly. It's to be cast aside with great force. Dude, I could talk about scientists that are religious. Doesn't fucking mean it's true, but okay. Anyway, the visuals of this movie is stunning. There's never the sense of sets, of costumes, of hired extras. Yeah, there was. Watch the backgrounds. But more of a feeling of a camera moving past real people in real places. Even the obviously contrived scenes include some of the hallucinations and voodoo fantasies have an air of solid plausibility to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Had Roger spent much time out of the house at this point in his life?
Yeah, I always thought the cool part was that guy, Christoph, when they bury him and you see that single tear, and you can see the dirt, falling into the casket and stuff like that. It makes me think of Morrissey. The soil falling over my head. Remember that song?
All right, thanks everybody. Good night. It was nice talking to you.
Into an empty bed. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny.
No. I'm not letting this go. I am so sad.
You don't like the Smiths?
Your knowledge of the Smiths and Morrissey.
I like the Smiths way more than Morrissey. Morrissey is solo is kind of a.
I would
twat.
Would lose more respect for you if you started singing Depeche Mode.
Oh, I love Depeche Mode. I've seen them in concert.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I don't think we use the word twat enough. That seemed like it was a word that was more popular in the 80s and 90s. I think it's fallen out of the common vernacular.
Twat?
Yeah.
I'm a fan. Okay, so I work with a lot of Scottish people, and playing for my deep-seated honkiness in Scotland and Ireland, playing a bagpipe. I know a whole ton of Scottish and Irish guys, and for them, the C word is like a comma.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that's one I would love to have back in our vernacular, because, and I'm gonna, everyone, if you're offended by the word, it's coming. Got introduced to some people, and then Rob leans over and he goes, yeah, Neil, proper cunt. And everyone got, oh my God, the pearl clutching. I'm like, oh, dude, thanks.
Yeah, that was a compliment.
That was a compliment.
It's all in the way that you use the word. Yeah.
Yes, but that twat,
yeah,
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, in more ways than one, not just a word.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to take this too blue, way off.
What brought up twat? I'm really curious.
Oh, because I said that Morrissey was a twat.
Morrissey was oh yeah, you did. Morrissey was a twat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Twat was that?
Rated E for explicit. We haven't said that in a long time.
Because we just thrown it out the window.
Yeah, you just assume when you're listening to this podcast that it is. So
we're going to say the F word. I'll say the F word a lot, at least.
Yeah. The beginning of the movie is sort of like a pseudo Indiana Jones type thing where he's out with the tribe, this tribe in South America, and he drinks the hallucinatory stuff that he's supposed to be taking back to the country, and he sees this vision with the tiger or whatever
jaguar
it is. Jaguar. Yeah, jaguar.
Can I? Okay, that was so fucking annoying. Not him, he's having his little dream tussle with the jaguar.
Yeah.
I've tripped. I've seen hallucinations before. However, at no point did spirits ever coalesce around me and the spirit of the jaguar come out to save me from voodoo.
Mm.
That was so fucking annoying.
You just haven't had that yet, though. You know,
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a chance. Maybe I'm just not living my life right.
I'm going to go off on a tangent here, right? So,
okay, why not?
When it comes to, and this is an episode of House Hunters that was on a couple years ago, where this lady who was trying to find a house in Taos.
Oh my God.
And she was very spiritual and whatever. And she wanted a house where she could take her shaman baths, whatever hell a shaman bath is. I don't know. So she looked like a person who was, looking for a property in Taos. Well, I love Taos. It's a lot of fun. There's one of the best Mexican restaurants I've ever had food at is there, called Orlando's in Taos. Look it up. It's fucking amazing. Anyway, but there is a crunchy element there.
Yeah, there's a lot of granola.
A lot of granola there. A little patchouli, Anyway, they ask her, what is your spirit animal? And what did she say? What does every person who has a spirit animal say there is their spirit animal?
Well, I don't talk to a lot of people with spirit animals, so I'm gonna leave this one to you.
An eagle.
An eagle. Oh, I'm shocked.
Yeah. Oh my God, my spirit animal is the eagle. Really? Who? Maybe your spirit animal is like a muskrat or a stoat or something. Or
mine's an anaconda.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see where you're coming from. But why does it always have to be an eagle? Or if you're claiming Native American heritage, why do they always say, I'm Cherokee? My great-great-grandmother was a Cherokee princess, even though there were no princesses. How many Cherokee princesses are there?
Well, maybe it wasn't the kind of like traditional princess you're thinking of. Maybe it was, hey.
I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, that's my tangent.
First off, get off your I'm Native American soapbox.
Okay, I will.
God. Okay, we get it. You're brown.
It's a bag of bluebird flour that I'm standing on.
Have you heard the guy? It's there's a really good rap group called Snotty Nose Red Kids. Mm-hmm. Rez Kids, Snotty Nose Rez Kids. They've got a really good one called Savages. But that tune, I think I sent it to you, called Greasy Fry Bread.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I love it because I got the bluebird in my tank top. Greasy Fry Bread. I love it. I love it. God, nothing better. I so look for. Here's my tangent. So when we're driving back home, sometimes we go south, we go through Gallup, and then we go up. Other times, if it's during the day, we'll cut across the res, and then we'll come out. We'll go like through Tisnos Pass and all that. But when we go through Gallup, dude, that first like gas station right there. There's if you get there the right time of day, there's some folks making like beans and fry bread, and I am pulling over every single. And like my kid, he's grown up deprived. When I pull, he's like, "Why are you pulling over? Get that? That looks gross, dude. This is like ambrosia. Yeah. This is the food of the gods."
Yeah, fry bread and tamales. You get it on the side of the road from somebody who's just waiting for you to come get it. It's not like, and they taste good. You trust them.
I got a Safeway 2 blocks from my house that my wife for years was like, we're not going to buy tamales from that lady. I'm like, she wouldn't be out here every day if her tamales were shit.
Yeah.
If there was something going on with her tamales. And then I just went and got some, and amazing. And for the price, so good. God,
going back to
tamale bread. Ladies.
Remember the flea market that was in between Aztec and Farmington?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
My grandpa used to he would always go sell stuff at the flea market, but wind up getting more stuff than he was trying to sell because he could never not buy books. So he was always buying paperbacks and comic books and stuff like that. So
there's worse things.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I got all my old, comic books and, those, remember they had that compendium of Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff like that. The little tiny,
yeah.
You used to be able to get it. Perfect. Anyway, you could always go and get a big ass piece of fry bread with a pork chop and with a piece of green chili on
green chili in it. Yes.
Yeah. That was,
or if they would give it to you, they give it to you with beans and ground beef, and then they would throw lettuce
and
that big ass thick like cheddar that they would throw on it, and then fold that thing over and wrap it in foil. Nothing better.
Oh my God. All right. Anyway, back to
damn it. Do they have anything like that in Haiti? No.
I don't know.
But it's not high on my list of places I want to go visit.
Yeah, that's true. I do. Apparently, in the voodoo rituals, you drink a lot of blood.
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah,
Yeah. We got to, how are we going to make it scarier? Drink some blood.
yeah.
What
So,
else would be scarier? Close-ups of jacked up teeth.
so when he comes to Haiti and he meets the female doctor, Dr. Marie Duchamp, and she tells him about they have to go on this quest to find the voodoo powder. And, of course, they meet a guy who claims he can do it, and then they get scammed. And, and that guy was kind of cool. He was probably the most, Brent Jennings as Louis Mozart was probably the best character to me. He's the one that he showed him how to make the voodoo powder, which I thought that was probably the best part of the movie. Is like when there's a process montage where they got to get the puffer fish, and then they got to get the the corpse, and they got to get all this kind of stuff. And
it was an 80s cleanup montage with a lot more voodoo.
Yeah, it was voodoo montage where they put everything together, and they get the the corpse, and then they put all the stuff in there, and it's supposed to work. And there's all this intrigue going on with the government, and they capture our hero, and he gets tortured. What was he blowing in his face? Was it propane? Like or acetylene, like gas or something?
I think it was probably acetylene. I've never having huffed it before or have it blown in my face.
Yeah, and then he gets a spike through his nuts, and still doesn't go back. I'm still on this quest. I did.
Okay. I want to hear you scream. I think it would have been way, way better if he'd have just taken out his left nut. He just pierced the scrotum, right? That's
yeah.
What did they do more shit to him? Because I get okay, that would hurt, but dude, cup your nuts so they're not wiggling, and they go for a stroll. And okay, so you're already in a country where you stand out. What was with the fucking Duran Duran outfit that the guy was wearing, walking around with
the Hungry Like the Wolf video, and then
he's got the neon stuff all over it, and it's okay, I already stick out. I'm going to an impoverished country at this point.
Night is wide. I don't know the lyric.
Do 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 voodoo do voodoo do voodoo do.
Yeah, but the guy who's the bad guy, Zeke Smokai, is Sergeant Petrod. He's a pretty good bad guy. He was threatening.
He's got that sneer all the time.
Yeah, he's got that sneer. He looks a little, little scary. This movie is the second movie in a row that we've watched where voodoo drums, or drums in general, will entrance somebody.
I don't think it was the drums. I think there was the voodoo.
The voodoo.
Not just the drums, but the voodoo got him. Are you going to dance tonight? No. There's so much spitting and blowing.
Yeah, there is a lot of spitting.
Faces.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to dance? How about a little saliva and some rum? Will that change your mind?
Well, apparently, going back to the making of, everybody in the cast got really bad dysentery. They were like half of them at a time would get really super, super sick, except for Wes Craven. He's the only one who did not almost die of the shits.
Well,
yep.
Okay. There's certain things that you have to accept with travel. You've got to accept a little bit of discomfort. You have to accept things that wouldn't be in your norm. You've got to accept that, maybe things aren't going to be exactly the way that you particularly would like them. And then you do accept that, if you go to some place like Haiti, you're going to shit yourself to death.
Yes.
Especially at that time. I don't know what Haiti's like right now, but all I know is that I've known some Haitian people, and they're all like, that's why I'm here, because it's not Haiti.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's funny. I don't know. The movie is
not great. Not great. It's just
I was disappointed.
It was a lot like, you go out and you get a big fat Like they ask you, would you like toast or pancakes with your breakfast? And you're like, oh man, I want fucking pancakes with my breakfast. But you're eating a whole plate of food and you get these pancakes on the side. And then after a while, it's just you're slogging through it because you don't want to waste your money. This was breakfast pancakes, man. I'd already eaten so much, and I was like, is there still more?
Yeah.
There's still more. Will it please end? And even when it was supposed to get scary at the end, I just like fucking everybody die. I want everybody dead. I want that guy dead. I want everyone dead. I want something exciting. When the spirits turned into rainbows, I didn't care. Like, look, the rainbow because the earth is the serpent. No, fuck it. They're dead. They're in a jar. Now they're gone.
Yeah. And at the end, he's fighting basically in a fist fight with the crispy,
that guy would have been a great defensive back because he could come out of nowhere and just fucking spear you.
Yeah, it was. And I can't believe I used to like this movie so much.
Where did Bill Pullman get the chutzpah to throw the guy like 4 feet up in the air? Oh, the other guy's running on voodoo power, obviously, and he's chucking Bill Pullman all over the place. But then out of nowhere, Bill Pullman's like sacred jaguar powers come out. Mm-hmm. It was like watching like a voodoo inspired version of the Wild Kratts. Remember that one from the.
Well, you talked a little bit about. You sent me a message about getting powder blown in your face and how that was more of a thing you remember from wrestling.
Yeah, anybody that had ever been to any pro wrestling knew that move was coming.
Yeah.
At least the rum person, you knew something was going to happen because their cheeks were all puffy because they got a big old fat face full of rum. You're like, oh shit, here comes the rum. But then the powder guy, when he walked up, you're supposed to
put on his glove.
You head to the turnbuckle. That's the first thing you should have done. You should have headed to the turnbuckle, but instead everyone's like, nope, don't want to touch the dying white guy.
Well, what happens is Mr. Fuji has the pill or whatever, and he hands it to the Great Kabuki, distracts the referee while he grinds it up, and then he turns around and spits it in Ricky Dragon Steamboat's face, and then he's blind, kind of like Van Damme in Bloodsport, when he got blinded by the powder. Which is one of the greatest acting performances of all time.
So great. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The martial arts master.
Yes. I used to love me some old WWF before it was the WWE. Love me that. I used to love it. Cream of the crop.
Oh, yeah. I get so many positive reactions when I wear that shirt. So many.
All right, so at this point, if you've seen it, good. I'm not going to say go watch this movie. It's on right now on Amazon Prime. You can stream it if you have Amazon Prime. And it's, I hate to say that it was a movie that I used to like, but did not impress me much. I'm like, Shania Twain, it don't impress me much. So let's talk about the horror films of 1988.
You brought in no Morrissey, then you bring in a Shania Twain reference.
I'm full of current references of music. Yeah.
Okay, so how sexually ambiguous was the female lead occasionally?
She did look a little androgynous.
I know what to do about the crying game.
She did look like Jay Davidson in The Crying Game. I was expecting him to that shot.
And when the shirt,
when did The Crying Game come out? Because that was a huge movie.
I think it was early 90s.
1992.
I wasn't horribly convinced because we didn't see the face and the boobies, so I think those were stunt boobies.
Yeah. But it was 1992. That was a shocking movie. All right, 1988 horror movies. Bad Dreams is a funny, sort of like a Manson family guy comes back from the dead and haunts this girl. I remember watching it a few times and kind of enjoying it. It's been forever since I've seen it, so maybe I'll have to check and see if it's on a streaming service so I can watch it. Black Roses came out in 1988, which is one of the greatest video covers, bait and switch that you've ever seen in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks so cool, and it was such a letdown.
Yeah. The Blob came out in 1988, which we've done an episode on. one of the greatest underrated horror movies of the 80s. So good. You got to check it out. Just really, really good. The Brain. I've never seen that one. I remember scroll over the Brain poster, and you will remember seeing this in every video shop, but I never, ever rented it for some reason.
Wait, was this on the list of horror films or in the
his list of the horror films of 1988?
Okay, I was on the zombie films.
Yeah, go over
the Brain
to the Brain, and you will see.
Oh, son of a bitch! Yeah, now I remember that. Oh yeah,
yeah.
A giant brain-like alien. Because, as we all know, brains have eyes, a nose, and sharp teeth. that mentally enslaves a town's residents and forces them all to watch a screening of The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Cheerleader Camp also had a very distinct box cover. It's like a voluptuous cheerleader body with a skull face, and it says, "Give me a K, give me an I, give me an L, give me an L." Cheerleader Camp.
Dude, Child's Play was that year.
Yeah, great one.
Dead Heat. That was back when Joe Piscopo was trying to become an action star. Deadly Dreams. Speaking of box covers.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really great.
Dream Demon. Edge of the Axe. Wow, there's a lot of... Well, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. That's a good one.
Oh, God. Great movie.
Evil Dead Trap, which is on Shudder, and it is not a good movie. It's really, really rapey.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy. Huh.
I like, when the Shudder has its... It has 3 different channels, and it's just movies that are just streaming. So it's just like their little TV channels, whatever. Every time I log into Shudder, that one's on, and somebody's getting assaulted.
I don't know how yours works because I just paid for it extra with my Amazon Prime, so I don't really have I
have the Shudder app, and I pay for it. It's like $54 for an entire year, so I just pay it all at once. So just get that. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, one of my personal favorites of the series with the telekinetic girl. Such a good one. I love that movie. We've done an episode on it. It's basically Jason versus Carrie.
Yeah. This was the year that brought us Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Yes. And Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. We've done an episode on that. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, we have not done an episode on. I'm surprised. We'll eventually have to get to that one.
I am too. I like me Hellraiser movies, even the shitty ones. I want Hellraiser in space.
With the one with the Timu Cenobites or Timu Pinhead.
I've watched it. It had
you opened the fridge. We came.
Yeah, it's got a really good Cenobite in it that questions people and writes out what they say, and then another Cenobite comes in and eats it and then vomits it up, and then it goes in this tube and it had potential, but that Pinhead was fucking gross.
Yeah, like you said, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, amazing movie. Have we done an episode on Killer Clowns? So how does my voice gets high when I ask questions? What is up with that? Airplane food. Yeah, I think we have.
I think we have. Yes, we had to have.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Couldn't let that go by.
Yeah. The Lair of the White Worm is another movie we need to do.
Hell yes, I was just on that. I was going to mention it next.
That is a really good British horror movie. It's very, very British. It's called early Hugh Grant. We've got to do that. We got to do that definitely in September or October, close to Halloween. We got to do that one. Maniac Cop. And The Man Behind the Sun is one of the most notorious video nasties of them all. It's all about the Japanese Army Unit 731 who did all sorts of biological tests on people. And it's supposed to be super, super graphic and just not a pleasant movie to watch. The Men Behind the Sun. Never seen it. Monkey Shines. I've seen that one. That was actually not bad. The guy with the helper monkey because he's a paraplegic.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. I know I've seen it.
It's not terrible. But Necromancer. That looks like a really cheesy, soft core kind of a horror movie.
What would give you that idea after looking at the
box cover? Night of the Demons, which you've done an episode on. I still have a soft spot for that movie,
Mm,
and it's not great, but it is. It's definitely
no.
an '80s horror movie, very '80s. Nightmare on Elm
Well,
Street Part 4: The Dream Master.
Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, we still need to do Pumpkinhead.
Great story. The movie, not as good, but still.
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I like it, but it's not great. It's not near as good as number 1. Not even close. Sleepaway Camp 2, Slime City, Slugs. Oh, and one of the greatest horror movie titles of all time, movie not so good, Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bolorama came out that year.
Yes. So good.
This is a walk down the video aisle at the mom and pop video store, just all these shitty horror movies. And, it was such a gamble on what you're going to get. Do you get The Blob and it's really, really good? Or do you get Cheerleader Camp or whatever it was?
Dude, Witchcraft and Waxwork.
Oh, yeah. Watchers. I remember that with Corey Haim. Waxwork. Witchery. Wood Chip Massacre. And Zombie 3, which is one of the most unintentionally funny zombie movies of all time.
Who made it? Who made
Lucio
it?
Fulci.
Let's just tell us who made it.
And Lucio Fulci was super, super sick. He was like on his deathbed or something like that. So Bruno Mattei came in and took over for it. And it is just hilarious. There's like zombie heads popping out of freezers and just zombies on top of pillars who were just happened to be there for a long, long time, just waiting to drop down. And there's birds that have zombieism and it's really funny. It's one of those that's just but apparently people who listen to us do not like Italian horror movies very much. So
really,
but why?
See, this movie is why we need a watch party, because this movie was not fun to watch by myself.
Yeah,
I think at some point we just have to stop it and say, hey, Eric, hey, Neil, when are you available? Let's stream this together, because it's the only thing that would make this tolerable.
That's true. I thought about that. Funny that you mentioned that, because I actually thought about that while watching this movie. It's like, we need to have a watch party so we can actually like bounce jokes off each other.
Because I guarantee you, everything I was saying was a million times better than what we did here, because by the time I'm on here, I'm like, fuck this movie.
Or get a Discord channel and we could watch it and just hook up on Discord. Say, hey, you start some movie, I'll start the movie. All right. And then we both talk on Discord and have a watch party that way.
Yeah, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to do that.
There's got to be a way
to happen. Oh, but. See, this makes it even better, because what are we watching next week?
We're going down on the bus, like, what does Homer Simpson call it? The bus that couldn't slow down. The bus that wouldn't slow down. We're watching Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. And I have not seen that movie in a long, long time. It's on HBO right now. It's on Max or HBO Max, whatever they're calling it this week. It's there. And I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's still a pretty good movie. And it's fun and fast, and Dennis Hopper's acting his ass off in that one. So
always, though.
Next week we're doing Speed, and after that we're gonna do The Rock with Sean Connery.
Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
Dishes Sean Connery.
This is so great. We'll do the whole thing that way. Do you remember the scene where they tried to catch them in the crossfire? That scene was sexy. Sean enjoyed it. It gave him excitement in his little Connery. This is going to be so fucking fun.
So you get that to look forward to for the next couple of weeks. Speed and then The Rock, which I was surprised we didn't do either of those. So I went through the entire list of movies that we have done over the past 5 years. We are approaching our 300th episode. Can you believe that?
That just so many hours of our lives that are never going to be gotten back.
We have spent in this loss leading adventure.
Oh, but movies like that make it worthwhile, though.
Yeah.
Not this one.
No.
But movies like that.
Mhm.
I went from apathy to anger.
I remember we had a movie that we watched we were so dead during the podcast that we just scrapped the episode. It was Chopping Mall.
Black Christmas?
No, Black Christmas we were okay.
Black
And you hated the movie so much that it kept it alive. Actually, no, we've only had 239 episodes. We have 11 more till 250. So 250 was the landmark in my head.
250?
300. Yeah, 250.
So 250.
I had to go back and make sure I wasn't a liar, and I was. So.
Oh. Well, thanks for destroying what little trust I had, you son of a bitch.
I know. I'm sorry. That's why I had to fact check myself. So next week, Speed, if you want to send us an email, it's rvspodcast222@gmail.com. Or on the Instagram, or on the Facebook. Not really on Blue Sky or Threads because they both seem to be dead. Maybe I
should. Dude, Threads has descended into just this crazed place.
I noticed that one day. I was like, I got on it and I was like, why is there so much nudity on Threads right now? It's just like, oh my God, what's going on here? Yeah, so maybe it's my algorithm. I don't know.
I think it's your algorithm.
Yeah,
might be. Send me some of your algorithm, please.
Yeah, if you want to contribute to the cause, and we need it, go to buymeacoffee.com, look up the Retro Video Store, and hit us up. Or send us a message through the Buzzsprout page, and we'll read you on the air.
Send us an idea for a movie.
Yes.
Because honestly, not every movie we pick are zingers, and we end up with episodes where we feel completely apathetic about the film.
This is being one of them.
This being one of them. And there was a thing too, man. I was so jazzed. Like Serpent and the Rainbow. I remembered that. Yeah, parts of that were really good. And then on the rewatch, it was it just wasn't. It didn't
exactly the same way for me. I'm just
didn't hit the same way. Like I have a fond remembrance of the square pizza slices from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you get a corner.
Yeah.
Oh, but I have a feeling that if I had that now, wouldn't be anywhere close to what I remember.
Yeah, you're right.
This was.
You know what does hold up?
What?
An Allsup's burrito.
God damn. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yes. Or even the Allsup's chimichangas.
Yes, Allsup's chimichanga, Allsup's burrito. Just walking in that Allsup's and smelling that fried food in the air.
Like how when you go somewhere that's foggy, you feel it. You can feel it as you inhale. Yeah. Like there's moisture in the air. When you hit Allsup's, there's cholesterol collecting in your lungs,
and you get yourself a fully leaded Coke. Just with all the sugar. Get yourself 2 bean burritos and a chimichanga, and wait for the diarrhea to set. I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't. That kind of food doesn't really get to me. So,
well. I tried to introduce my son to the glory of that when we drove back from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through and I'm like, dude, there's an Allsup's just right up here. We're heading outside of Albuquerque. Let's go hit that Allsup's up, man. You have no idea how great this is going to be. We get in there and he's looking around like, no, I'm good. I don't want to eat that. That's fine. Child doesn't know.
When I was in Taos a couple of weeks ago, I had to bring back breakfast burritos from Blake's. Yeah.
Dude, my brother-in-law lives not too far from the one on 20th Street. And I head down every morning. And they're like, did you bring some back for everybody? Well, no, I didn't. I just spent $300 to drive out here. So no, I didn't. I didn't buy all 7 people in the house a breakfast burrito. Sorry. But I did eat one and I got extra green chili on it. It was great.
It was fucking good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the zombie maker right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, goodbye. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Have a good week. Don't watch this. Don't watch this movie.
Don't watch this movie.
Don't watch this movie.
It's not as good as you remember.
No, it's not. No.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Don't watch it.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.